Alright, I've got a little bit of free time right now, so wanted to answer a question two people asked me on the previous video. Shout out to the boy Tommy and shout out to the boy Yarvis. Their question and Tommy asked me another question related to this, but the other question you asked Tommy, I gotta make a specific video about that when I have time to sit down and really get into the specifics. But for the time being, I'll at least answer the first half of it. And they asked, is narcissism closer related to sociopathy or psychopathy? And I think it was a year and a half ago, I made a video talking about the reptilian brain and all these antisocial personality disorders. And I think in that video, I said that narcissism, like psychopathy, is something that you're born with. But as new information gets discovered, as new evidence gets presented, as new facts get established, you have to change what you think to be in line with what is true. And here's the crazy part, guys. Apparently, with the new data that we have, with what has been found out, apparently narcissism is similar to sociopathy in terms of your brain can develop that way based off of your environment. So narcissism is not something that you're born with, according to all the newest information that we have about the topic. Now, this makes perfect sense because I don't think anybody will deny that there's a lot more narcissists running around in 2025 than there were 10, 15 years ago. It's kind of like an epidemic right now. But Google continues to lie and say that it's only 1%, whatever. It's way more than 1%. So it's similar to sociopathy in terms of it's not something you're born with, it's something that you can develop as a result of your environment. This is not to be used as an excuse to feel bad for narcissists, because let me remind you people, lots of people grow up in chaotic environments and lots of people still don't become sociopaths. Lots of people still don't become narcissists. A lot of the psychologists you see on the internet, they kind of try to build sympathy for people that got mental impairments, and they say stuff like, oh, in order to survive, a narcissist must do this. Oh, in order to survive, a sociopath must do bullshit. It has nothing to do with survival. Narcissists don't care about surviving. That's apparent by their decision making. If anybody who's ever interacted with narcissists, they think they're immune to consequences, and when consequences happen, they just don't care, right? They don't care about survival. It's one of the main things I disagree with when it comes to, what psychologists online be saying. So it's similar to sociopathy in terms of it's not something you're born with, it's something that can develop as a result of a chaotic environment. But it's similar to psychopathy in terms of what shows up on the brain scan. I would go as far to say that narcissism is psychopathy on steroids, but psychopathy is something that you're born with. So you could say that narcissism is the free will development of psychopathy, okay? With other psychologists saying that it's just another level of psychopathy, but you gotta understand, a psychopath is born because a piece of their brain is missing. And that piece of their brain, well, it's actually several parts of their brain, and what is missing is stuff that helps a human being understand empathy, consequences, and long-term decision making. Interestingly enough, people that are on the spectrum are also born with a similar piece of their brain missing. Now, with all these personality disorders, if a person is consciously made aware that there's something wrong with them, and we can tell this from the brain monitoring, if a person is aware there's something wrong with them and they use their free will to try and correct the problem, all of these personality disorders can be mitigated. Now, there are instances of sociopaths getting better. There's instances of psychopaths getting better. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I don't know of any narcissists getting better after being made aware that they're narcissists. That's what makes this virus so prominent. A narcissist, they don't think anything they do is wrong. How can you correct the problem if you don't think there's a problem? Even psychopaths acknowledge that what they do is not okay. And some admit that they could become better people. The thing about a psychopath is psychopaths will try to make themselves better if they believe there's a benefit to doing so. Sociopaths they are very impulsive, so they're fully aware of what they're doing and the negative consequences, but they'll admit to you that the feeling that they get at that moment trumps the consequences that they know they're going to get. Psychopaths also know that if they get caught, they know they're going to get consequences. This is why psychopaths try very hard not to get caught in the first place, but this allows them to be redeemed to some degree, because they, even though their brains are fucked too, they still acknowledge consequences. They still acknowledge being wrong, even if they don't always do it out loud. A narcissist does not acknowledge that anything they do is wrong. They never think they're the problem. They never think that they are the reason why negative stuff happens in their lives. And the more extreme narcissists don't think anything negative happens in their lives. This is something that I saw with my mom. She could never admit to being wrong. And even when bad shit. And this is the main reason narcissists love religion. At least modern religion. Because modern religion essentially tells you can do whatever you want. God is all forgiven. There's no consequences. You'll still get into heaven. So whenever my mom got caught doing something stupid, she would, oh, God, right, blah, 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 right? So whatever, right? But, you know, in theory, it's possible for a narcissist to get better. I've never seen it happen. I know many people who also say that they've never seen it happen. Now, the people that you see on the internet or wherever that say, I'm a recovering narcissist, they're usually not. They usually have a different personality disorder, but they're hopping on the bandwagon. These people, even though they can't feel it, they're always watching. So they know how to put on a mask to mirror what people want to see. So they know that most people have a desire in their heart to see somebody who has the most fucked disease in the world, narcissism. They know most people have a desire to see, can this abomination get better? So a psychopath or a sociopath, they'll see this. They'll say they have narcissism when they don't, because again, narcissists don't admit to having the flaw. So if a narcissist is admitting to you that they're a narcissist, they're not a narcissist. They have a different personality disorder. What these guys on the internet do is they'll say, I'm a recovering narcissist, because now they're making bank off of the sheep. They're capitalizing off of the cattle orc's desire to see an abomination get better. So they'll say, yeah, I'm a recovering narcissist, and they'll basically hook and fish, hook, line, and sinker. So these people on the internet that you see saying they're recovering narcissists, they're not. They either have no personality disorder at all, or they have one of the lesser personality disorders, and they figure that they can use this to make bank. Vice versa, you got other people that say that they're psychopaths online when they're really narcissists. So I knew a chick that, and shout out to this chick, I think she still watches my videos. I had a chick fucking explain to me that she's a borderline, And she gave me some basic info about borderlines when I first was looking into that subject. But she only told me half the truth. She was a borderline narcissist. And borderline. Now, and let me just emphasize something. I had a guy comment on one of my posts. When I say borderline narcissist, I don't mean they're a narcissist that's on the border. I don't mean they're almost a narcissist. When I use the term borderline narcissist, I'm referring to individuals who have both borderline personality disorder, BPD, not to be confused with bipolarism. These individuals have both borderline personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder. The borderline narcissist has two of the worst viruses you can have, borderline and narcissism combined into one. And I don't know, I may or may not make a video talking about that specific type of narcissism, but it's something. But yeah, man, just if you're a regular human being who was born with empathy, who was born with most of your brain working, who was born with the ability to feel what other humans go through, understand something. There's gonna be wolf in sheep's clothing who are gonna come to you and say, I'm a recovering narcissist. No, you're not. They're saying this to you because they know you have the innate desire to want to believe this is curable. And it is, in theory. But there's nothing you can do about it. The narcissist himself would have to look inside, which they already don't do. Narcissists survive off of external validation because internally they know they have nothing. So a narcissist looking in their inner side, connecting to their inner voice, that already doesn't happen. If it does happen, that's an outliner. If it does happen, that's an anomaly, right? Something that they should be teaching you people in elementary school in science class is called a they should be teaching you guys in science class exceptions to the rule don't negate the rule. But I can tell from a lot of the comments I had on my older videos, they're not teaching people this anymore. Because I could say something about a group of people like narcissists. Oh my God, you're stereotyping. Oh my God. And it's like, yeah, no shit. Because narcissists being a certain way, that's the rule. If you meet a narcissist that can change, that's an exception to the rule. It doesn't negate how most of these people are. But I get it. You guys have girlfriends, you guys have parents, you guys have friends that have narcissism or some type of personality disorder, and you want to believe they can be redeemed. And they can, in theory, only if they themselves internally realize that they are the problem. And then that's just the first step, and almost none of them do this. After they realize they're the problem, they then have to begin their path to redemption and begin to correct all the flaws in their brain. This doesn't happen. If it does happen, it's an outliner, it's an exception. So yeah, out of a million narcissists, you may have one that can redeem themselves. That one is an outliner. You still have 999,999 other narcissists that don't see themselves as the problem, that don't believe they're the problem, and they have absolutely no intentions of changing, redeeming themselves, or going stronger. But I think that's all I need to answer this question. So to answer Tommy and Jarvis, the truth is, like with most things, the truth is in the middle. They're not born with the personality disorder like a psychopath is, but when you look at their brains, they have many similarities to psychopaths. But a psychopath can admit to being wrong, a psychopath can admit to being flaws. It's because a psychopath can acknowledge their flaws. This is what makes them very hard to catch. Psychopaths know they are flawed, and they know how to cover those flaws by getting people around them that can cover these flaws. A narcissist, on the other hand, doesn't think they have any flaws, which is why they're so easy to catch when you just ignore your feelings and just observe with logic what's going on. The easiest way to spot a narcissist is to challenge them or highlight when they have been wrong. Intentionally cause them a narcissistic injury, especially if it's in front of people, and then watch how quickly the mask comes off. Versus a psychopath, you can call out their flaws in public and they usually won't care. What a psychopath will do is, this guy is intelligent. This guy is useful. I gotta get him on my side. Versus a narcissist, this guy's intelligent. Fuck this guy, man. I gotta bring him down. And you'll hear some narcissists say this. One guy I knew, Beefy, right? He still watches my videos. He randomly messaged me one day and said, "I gotta bring you down a few pegs," right? The mask came off. So the easiest way to spot a narcissist, intentionally cause them a narcissistic injury by either pointing out a flaw or by, in public, reminding them of when they were wrong. They're similar as well to sociopaths because what happened to their brain is a result of a chaotic environment and them using their free will to allow this to happen. But unlike a sociopath, again, sociopaths, they got no problem admitting to their flaws. They got no problems admitting that they're fucked. Some sociopaths care and they do try to correct their problems, but a sociopath, similar to a narcissist, they lack impulse control and they prioritize immediate gratification over long-term decision making. So a narcissist is similar to a psychopath and to a sociopath, but drastically different. They only have a few similarities, and while those similarities may seem big on paper, it's really not. The massive differences between a narcissist and other personality disorders are very noticeable once you've been around enough of these people and once you're informed. Because we've all been around a lot of narcissists. It's 2025. A lot of people walking around have that shit now. But without being properly informed, you'll start seeing this as normal, and it is becoming normal, unfortunately. But you start beginning. I had to tell one of my homeboys a few days ago, man, because he said something along the lines, "I'm starting to hate women now," and I'm like, homeboy, you're not hating women, you're hating a specific type of woman. Stop hanging around these chicks. There's good women out there. You just got to stop going for narcissistic whores. And he thought about it for a day, and he's like, damn, you're right. So just want to put that out there, man. And this is the best solution for all of this shit. Just stop hanging around narcissistic people. Once you get informed, and once you know how to spot these people, stop hanging around these people. There's really no point in hanging around a narcissist. It'll drive you mad. Alright? So that being said, Tommy and Jarvis, hopefully this answers your question. I went on a bit longer than I wanted to, but hey, I guess extra information is good. And you're not really going to understand the severity of this disease in a single video. You're not really going to understand the severity of this disease in 5 videos. It's better if you use your free will to get informed yourself, and then if you have to, go to the source and see it with your own eyes. I emphasize if you have to, because you really do not want to voluntarily hang around these people for any lengthy period of time. You know, people ask me, why don't I talk to my family? Oh, they raised you. They gave you life. This is why. It doesn't matter if they share your fucking blood. You don't have to go down with your bloodline. Just something to think about. Take it easy, guys.